Chapter 44. The fight for survival. The underground ritual chamber beneath Magnolia's End plantation was a crucible of chaos, its stone walls etched with voodoo veves and crescent moons, flickering torchlight casting shadows on a shattered altar. The full moon's glow seeped through a skylight, illuminating the blood-stained remnants of the Order of the Crescent Moon's ritual, masks, knives, medallions, scattered by Madame Zora's power. Julien Dubois stood, ropes freshly cut by Celeste Moreau, his scar burning, Zora's talisman pulsing at his neck. Vincent Devereaux, unmasked and bloodied, had confessed to the murder's 9 victims, including Julien's sister Amélie, driven by a delusional quest for immortality. Now Devereaux lunged, his ceremonial knife flashing, determined to complete the ritual with Julien's blood. "You'll never stop the moon," Devereaux roared, his blue eyes wild, his black suit torn. The remaining Order members, 5 cloaked figures, their crescent moon masks leering, closed in, knives drawn, their chant faltering but defiant. Julien Dove, tackling Devereaux, their bodies crashing into the altar, splintering its black cloth. The knife skidded across the stone floor, but Devereaux's fists were relentless, slamming into Julien's ribs. Celeste, her auburn hair loose, her amulet blazing, grabbed a fallen torch, swinging it at a cloaked figure lunging for Julien. "Stay back!" she shouted, her voice fierce, the bruise from her abduction a testament to her resolve. She clutched Zora's talisman, taken from Julien's coat during his rescue, and raised it, chanting words Zora had taught her, a prayer to Damballa, the serpent Loa. The air thickened, the torches dimming, the Order's masks trembling as the Loa's power stirred, weakening their resolve. Julien grappled with Devereaux, his scar a fiery anchor. "For Amélie," he growled, slamming Devereaux's head against the altar's edge. Blood trickled from Devereaux's brow, but he laughed maniacal, grabbing a medallion and swinging it like a bludgeon. Julien dodged, his revolver lost in the fray, and seized a ritual knife, its crescent-etched blade cold in his hand. "Your ritual's dead, Devereaux. So are you." He slashed, grazing Devereaux's arm, the killer stumbling back. Celeste fended off 2 Order members, her torch a fiery arc, her camera swinging to block a knife. "Julien, the altar!" she yelled, tossing him the talisman. He caught it, slamming it onto the altar's remains, its herbs sparking as Zora's chant echoed in his mind, "Break the altar, scatter the offerings." The medallions shattered, the masks crumbled, and a gust of wind roared through the chamber, the Loa's wrath unleashed. The Order members screamed, their masks cracking, fleeing into the tunnels. Devereaux, cornered, lunged one last time, his knife aimed at Julien's heart. Julien parried, their blades locking, and drove his shoulder into Devereaux's chest, pinning him against the wall. "For Clara, for everyone," Julien hissed, twisting the knife free and plunging it into Devereaux's side. The killer gasped, blood bubbling, his eyes fading as he slumped, the crescent moon's light dimming above. Celeste rushed to Julien, her amulet warm, her ledger safe. "He's done," she said, her voice steady, camera ready to document the end. The chamber was silent, the ritual broken, the Order's power shattered. Julien's scar ached, Amélie's memory a quiet peace. The crescent moon waned, its shadow lifting, but Julien knew the fight wasn't over until Devereaux's body was cold and the Order's remnants faced justice. Chapter 46. The aftermath. Dawn broke over Magnolia's End plantation, its pale light piercing the fog that cloaked the ruins, crumbling columns, moss-draped oaks, and the Mississippi's quiet churn. The air was sharp with the acrid scent of smoke, the underground ritual chambers collapsed, sending sparks skyward, igniting the plantation's dry timbers. Flames licked the night, a pyre for the Order of the Crescent Moon's shattered ambitions. Julien Dubois, Celeste Moreau, and Madame Zora Laveau stood at the edge of the inferno, their silhouettes etched against the blaze. Julien's scar ached, Madame Zora's talisman warm at his neck, Amélie's journal safe in his coat. Celeste's amulet glowed faintly, her camera and ledger clutched tightly, proof of the Order's crimes. The fire roared, consuming the chamber where Vincent Devereaux, the confessed killer, had met his end, his body left in the wreckage, a final sacrifice to his own delusion. 9 victims, Lavigne, Thibodeau, Leclerc, Clara, Dupont, Martineau, Rousseau, Blanchard, Renaud, and Amélie a decade prior, had fallen to his ritual for immortality. Zora's voodoo power had broken the altar, scattering the Loa's wrath, and Julien's knife had ended Devereaux's reign. Now the plantation burned, erasing the Order's sanctuary. Julien's gaze fixed on the flames, Amélie's words, "The moon must fall," a vow fulfilled. "It's over," he said, his voice rough, the weight of a decade's guilt lifting. "Devereaux's gone, the ritual's dead. Amelie can rest. His scar was a quiet reminder, the talisman a symbol of survival. Celeste, her auburn hair streaked with ash, nodded, her bruise a badge of defiance. We've got the ledger, my photos, Margot's key, enough to expose the Order's remnants, she said, her voice steady. The Times-Picayune will run it, and the city will know the truth. Her camera hung heavy, its images a testament to their fight, her amulet a link to Zora's strength. Zora, her silver hair glowing in the firelight, leaned on her serpent skull staff, her dark eyes weary but resolute. The Loa have judged, and the moon's shadow is broken, she said, her Creole accent soft. But guard your hearts. Evil wears new faces, and New Orleans never forgets. She scattered a final pinch of herbs into the flames, their sparks a cleansing rite. Sirens wailed in the distance, NOPD patrols, drawn by the fire, their arrival too late to save the Order's lair but in time to act. Julian had radioed a trusted sergeant, bypassing Grayson's corrupt network, and now patrol cars rolled into the clearing, officers rounding up the Order's fleeing members, their crescent moon masks abandoned in the mud. The arrests were swift, the survivors, low-ranking pawns, spilling names under pressure, their elite masters exposed by Celeste's evidence. Julian lit a cigarette, the match flaring in the dawn's chill, his scar a quiet ache. Grayson's next, he said, exhaling smoke. His bribes from Devereaux won't save him now. The precinct'll be clean, or I'll burn it down myself. His resolve was steel, tempered by Amelie's memory and Clara's loss. Celeste's hand brushed his, a fleeting warmth. We did it, Julian, for them, for the city. But it cost us. Her eyes held the weight of Margot's death, Tommy's betrayal, the lives lost to the Order's madness. They turned from the blaze, Zora leading the way to a waiting patrol car, her staff a beacon. The plantation burned behind them, its ashes a grave for Devereaux's ritual. Julian clutched Amelie's journal, Celeste her ledger, their evidence a promise to heal New Orleans' wounds. The crescent moon faded in the dawn, its shadow vanquished, but Zora's warning lingered, a reminder that the quarter's secrets were never truly buried. Chapter 45. The rituals collapsed. The underground ritual chamber beneath Magnolia's End plantation was a wreckage of shattered dreams, its stone walls scarred with voodoo vebs and crescent moons, flickering torchlight casting jagged shadows on a broken altar. The full moon's glow, dimming through the skylight, illuminated the chaos. Scattered masks, splintered medallions, and bloodstained knives, the remnants of the Order of the Crescent Moon's failed ritual. Julian Dubois stood, battered but unbroken, his scar burning, Madame Zora's talisman pulsing at his neck. Celeste Moreau, her amulet glowing, clutched her camera and ledger, her auburn hair tangled from the fight. Vincent Devereaux, the confessed killer, lay slumped against the wall, blood seeping from a knife wound in his side, his blue eyes flickering with defiant rage. 9 victims dead, the 10th Julian spared, but the ritual's dark energy lingered, demanding closure. Madame Zora Laveau stepped forward, her silver hair loose, her crimson tignon aglow, her serpent skull staff radiating power. Her dark eyes burned with the Loa's wrath, her Creole accent a thunderous chant. You've defiled the spirits, Devereaux, she declared, raising her staff. This altar, this blood, it ends now. She slammed the staff into the altar's remains, splintering its black-draped wood, a gust of wind roaring through the chamber. The vevs on the walls glowed, then faded, the Loa's presence recoiling as Zora scattered herbs from her gris-gris bag, their sparks igniting the air. The ritual's power collapsed, a palpable snap, the moonlight dimming to a sliver. Devereaux, his face twisted with pain and fanaticism, staggered to his feet, clutching a fallen crescent knife. You can't stop eternity, he screamed, lunging at Zora, his blade aimed for her heart. Julian reacted, his scar a fiery spur, tackling Devereaux to the ground. The men grappled, Devereaux's knife grazing Julian's arm, but Julian's strength prevailed, pinning the killer's wrist. For Amelie, Julian hissed, driving Devereaux's own knife deeper into his wound. Devereaux gasped, blood bubbling, his eyes glazing as life drained away, his body collapsing in a final, shuddering breath. Celeste snapped photos, her camera a relentless witness, the ledger safe in her bag. It's over, she said, her voice steady, her bruise a badge of survival. She helped Julian stand, her amulet warm, the chamber's air clearing as the Loa's wrath subsided. The Order's remaining followers, their masks abandoned, had fled into the tunnels, their ritual shattered, their leader dead. Zora lowered her staff, her face weary but resolute. The Loa are sated, but the moon's shadow lingers, she warned, her voice soft. Take your proof, expose the Order, but guard your hearts. Evil finds new masks. She scattered the last of her herbs, the altar's remnants crumbling to ash, the ritual's power extinguished. Julian clutched Amelie's journal, her words, "The moon must fall," fulfilled. His scar ached, a quiet peace settling over a decade of guilt. "We've got him," he said, nodding to Celeste. "The ledger, your photos, they'll bury the order for good." He pocketed a broken medallion, proof of Devereaux's crimes, and led the way up the spiral staircase. They emerged into the plantation's fog, the crescent moon fading as dawn's first light broke. The Mississippi's murmur was a cleansing chant, the ruins silent. Julian, Celeste, and Zora stood together, survivors of the Order's madness, their evidence a beacon to end the crescent moon's reign. The fight was won, but the quarter's shadows whispered of battles yet to come. Chapter 47. The truth revealed. The French Quarter awoke to a subdued dawn, the ashes of Mardi Gras Fat Tuesday scattered across its cobblestone streets, beads, broken masks, and the faint echo of parade trumpets silenced by Chief Inspector Grayson's curfew. In the Times-Picayune newsroom on Camp Street, the air buzzed with the clatter of typewriters and the sharp scent of ink, a frenetic energy fueled by Celeste Moreau's front-page article. The Crescent Moon Conspiracy, a city's elite unmasked. Published mere hours after the burning of Magnolia's End plantation, it detailed the order of the Crescent Moon's ritual murders, naming Vincent Devereaux as the killer and exposing his elite cabal. Celeste's ledger, photographs, and Margot's key, combined with Amelie's journal, were irrefutable proof, and the city was reeling. Celeste stood by her desk, her auburn hair pinned loosely, her amulet glinting under the newsroom's fluorescent glare. Her bruise from the abduction was fading, but the weight of 10 deaths, Levine, Thibodeau, Leclerc, Clara, DuPont, Martineau, Rousseau, Blanchard, Renault, and Amelie a decade prior, lingered in her green eyes. The article had sparked outrage and relief. Socialites demanded justice, politicians scrambled to distance themselves, and the public hailed Celeste as a hero. Her editor, initially skeptical, now clapped her shoulder, muttering about a Pulitzer. Yet Celeste felt no triumph, only a quiet resolve to honor the fallen by ensuring the truth endured. Across the quarter, in the New Orleans Police Department's headquarters on Tulane Avenue, Julian Dubois sat at his desk, his scar a faint ache, Madame Zora's talisman tucked away. The precinct was a storm of activity, officers processing the arrested Order members, their confessions unraveling the conspiracy's web. Devereaux's body, recovered from the plantation's ashes, was a grim trophy, his death by Julian's hand closing a decade of guilt over Amelie's murder. Her journal, now in evidence, had named Devereaux, tying her 1916 killing to the ritual's genesis. Julian lit a cigarette, the match flaring, his eyes tracing a photo of Amelie on his desk, her smile a piece he'd fought for. "She's at rest," he murmured, exhaling smoke. The victory was bittersweet, Clara's loss, Margot's sacrifice, Tommy's betrayal stung, but the Order's collapse was justice. Chief Inspector Grayson, exposed by Julian's evidence of Devereaux's bribes, faced suspension, his office sealed pending investigation. The precinct, though bruised, was cleansing itself, and Julian's resolve to keep it honest burned as fiercely as the plantation's flames. Celeste's article reached him, its headline bold, her words a scalpel cutting through the city's shadows. She'd credited him sparingly, protecting his badge, but their partnership was etched in every line. Julian crushed his cigarette, a faint smile breaking through. "You did it, Celeste," he said to the empty room, knowing her truth had shifted New Orleans' soul. Outside, newsboys shouted, "Crescent Moon killers exposed." As the quarter stirred, its jazz clubs quiet but poised to sing again. Celeste left the newsroom, her notebook light, her amulet a reminder of Zora's warning, "Evil wears new faces." She passed St. Louis Cathedral, its spires piercing the dawn, and thought of Julian, their shared scars a bond forged in fire. The city was healing, but its shadows whispered, and Celeste vowed to keep her pen sharp. Julian stepped into the street, the Mississippi's breeze cleansing, Amelie's memory a quiet strength. The crescent moon was gone, its shadow banished, but New Orleans' heart beat on, and Julian would guard it for her for them all.